We've all heard a lot, frankly too much, about Barnaby Joyce's private life in the past couple of weeks. And as much as he wants to lecture us about letting his private life be private, when you degrade other people's life choices and then disown your own beliefs that you used as a foundation to gain public trust and career advancement, the sexual choices of Barnaby Joyce are unfortunately all too relevant to the Australian political landscape. Unless we blame the election and political rise of Barnaby Joyce on people donkey voting or drawing obscenities on their voting card, we have to recognise that Barnaby Joyce's electorate voted him in. Now, not everyone agrees with everything their MP does, but there is a certain expectation that an elected official will at least follow his own moral code. Barnaby Joyce has been outed as a hypocrite in several areas, and Australia is freaking out. So why does this matter? We're all human, people make mistakes, yada yada yada. Well, it matters because these scandals trash the political reputation of Australia around the world. They limit media coverage of politics in Australia to gossip rather than actual political decision making. And they cause the Australian public to lose faith in our democratic system. When Joyce's story broke last week, the international tabloids had a field day. John Oliver said that Barnaby Joyce cares about family values so much that he can't contain them to just one family.
The Australian media has understandably jumped on this story like a Deputy Prime Minister with a wife and 4 children jumping on his 33-year-old former media advisor.
So exactly how you'd like our Deputy Prime Minister's reputation to sound on an international platform. Not. In Australia, the reaction was a bit different. Since the breaking of Barnaby Joyce's transgressions, support for the minister has dropped severely, with a quarter of regional voters and 20% of city voters wanting Joyce to resign immediately after the story of his affair was published. Australia's response was swift and sure in its condemnation of a politician that disappointed our expectations. Just over 1 week later, Joyce voluntarily resigned. At the same time, this scandal has blocked media coverage of policy and development, arguably issues that will affect us far more. Political coverage in the past week can be summed up pretty quickly. Scandal, fallout, resignation, ministers vying for a newly available position. On the side, we've got legislation about ministerial affairs being pushed through, sexual harassment accusations, and ministerial catfights. What we haven't heard is discussion about how Acting Prime Minister and Treasurer Scott Morrison and Qantas Chief Executive Alan Joyce met to promote the cutting of corporate taxes from 30 to 25%. Or the fact that for some reason Clive Palmer is planning a return to politics. No. Instead, the BBC is publishing articles like The Revenge of Johnny Depp's Dogs. Every single time a story like this is broken, faith in politics has dropped. When Bronwyn Bishop used public funds in the wrong way, then stood by it for far too long. When corruption was found to have occurred in the trade unions of every state of Australia except the Northern Territory. The drawn-out process of establishing a royal commission into the Australian banking sector, when we were told the NBN would actually be good everywhere. Australia is known for being largely cynical towards our government. In a recent worldwide poll of political trust, named the Edelman Trust Barometer, Australia ranked 21 out of 28 countries surveyed for our trust in institutions, including government, business, NGOs, and the media. Ouch. Australia was also one of only 2 countries in the survey that showed a lower level of trust for a second consecutive year. We now rank only slightly higher than Russia. Just let that sink in. Our faith in government is almost as bad as a semi-dictatorship with barely a hint of independence or justice system. Now, the news poll found that we are also one of the most hopeful nations. That is, we're more open to the idea that our government can improve. So come on, Australian pollies. We know that we often won't agree with what you believe in, and we know that in a democracy, it's not possible to please everyone. But make sure that you believe in what you believe in, and let's keep the pleasing in Parliament in the form of positive policy and development strategy, and out of the bedroom.